Welcome back to another episode of Torque. Well, today we're going to install a set of subframe connectors for a 1965 Mustang convertible. So let's head out to the barn and get to work. All right, on this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be welding on some Global West subframe connectors on the 65 Mustang convertible. You can see I've got the box all opened up. You have the two connectors. You also have a couple little pieces of metal right there. That's to be welded on last. So what you will find is you will find no directions in there. They do have a video on how to install that, Global West themselves. I wanted to make a video. I wanted to see how well these are going to fit and see how hard they are to install. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is going to be a little bit easier of installation than most people, just for the fact that I've got it on the rotisserie. Let's go ahead and grab one of these things and put it in place. So what he was talking about in the video a little bit is that you want to get this far back as possible, and you'll have to knock this up. Now I am hitting back here on the frame already. So that's a little bit better. It gives me a little bit of a gap right here. I'm thinking I can go back just a little bit. All right, that's really close. I might tap this out a little bit. And that's almost back. I've probably got 3/4 of an inch right here. All right, so I had to move this forward just a little bit. I haven't measured this, but this is a little bit over an inch. I know it is. I had to push it forward just a little bit because, bring you guys over here, right here on the frame, this aft frame rail, it was actually touching here. So I've got about 1/8 of an inch gap, which I think is enough for flex and everything, that maybe it won't touch anymore. And that's where I think I'm gonna weld this in. Now, I know normally on his video it said to mark and clean off this area, but we've got great access here, so I'm just gonna clean off this on both ends, and then when I get this in place, I'll wire wheel that self-etching primer, so then I can just weld right to it. That way I'm not exposing any metal up underneath. So I've got that an inch away from that lower seat pan support. This one's a little bit more snug. I'm having to beat this with a dead blow, try and get it into place so it goes all the way up to the frame itself. So per Global West, we don't really need to weld the very top of this where almost the floor would meet. We just need to weld here on the sides and then on the bottom, and we'll do that as much as we can on the other side, and we'll also do it on that side, that end as well. So let's go ahead and clean this off and get it ready for welding. All right, so I've got this back on. I've already cleaned off the ends. I've knocked it into place. We got about an 1/8 inch gap over here. I'm just gonna use my little belt sander, mini belt sander. I'm just gonna clean up both sides just a little bit on just this side. I just wanna get a couple of tacks in there. I'll do the same as well back there, and then we'll move to the bottom, tack those on. I just wanna get them held in place so I don't have to worry about them moving at all. All right, let's go ahead and get a couple tacks in here just to keep this in place. All right, so we've got the driver's side tacked in. We're gonna go ahead and try and get the exact same distance set up on this passenger side. All right, so I've got my distance from the seat pan almost identical. I did notice that this one lightning hole is almost exactly the same distance away to the subframe connector. So I'm really close to where I need to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, put a couple tacks there. Once I get these tacked in, I'm gonna go ahead and fully TIG weld these. I'm only putting a tack in each side, and and then I'll fully weld it. All right, so we've got these subframe connectors just tacked on everywhere. I'm going to fully TIG weld it like I said before. You may be asking yourself, why am I welding these on now? You really need the weight on the wheels with the engine and everything in. Well, when the engine, everything was in, it was sitting on the ground. I built that frame up top, which actually kept it exactly where it should be. This body shouldn't have tweaked at all. It kept it from twisting and collapsing. So it should be exactly the way it was when it was on wheels. All right, let's go ahead and TIG this in. I'm not the best at TIG welding. I'm just okay. We'll see how this turns out. All right, I'm starting to weld the back portion of this, and there's not much surface area if you just do the sides right here. We will have to put that cap on. We'll do that in a minute. So I may end up welding this along the top on the back. I'll probably end up using the MIG welder just for that, just for access. It's gonna be hard to TIG weld that. All right, so I welded everywhere I could. I do have to weld on the sides of these on the outside, just because this frame is in my way, and this frame's going to come off pretty soon because I have just a little bit of repair to do back here on the rear part of the frame. So the next step is to grab these squares, and we're going to actually go into this opening right here, and we're going to mark where they go. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll just MIG weld these in, and that will close up that area. All right, so I've cut it off. I've rounded the corners pretty good, just so it's going to be easier to weld. These things are rounded on the bottom side, so I'm going to go ahead and tack this into place and then fully weld it. All right, so I've got both of these covers completely welded in. I've ground down a little bit. I'll smooth them over just a little bit. Got both sides all completed. All right, so we've got the subframe connectors fully welded up, except for a couple little spots in the back. When that frame comes off, I can take care of those spots. That's no big deal. These are really nice unit, really nice kit. Pieces are really heavy and stout. I think they're gonna do well on this car. The back end, I did have to use a mallet on these. I may have shown you on this video to knock these in all the way, but that's all right. My gaps were about exactly the same. Would I recommend Global West? Absolutely, because so many variations in cars and, you know, distances on certain things, and these things fit really, really well. The one thing I did find funny, the guy that put on the decals, you had one job. So other than that, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you on another episode of Torqued.